Joining the show today is one of us by way of the Minnesota Wild using their 89th overall pick in the 2022 NHL Draft to select Mikey Milne. Mikey, appreciate you taking the time here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Question we open with every interview. Minnesota Wild logo. Pretty weird. Some of your teammates have given us some very strange answers here, but first time you saw it, like, what did you think it was?
Honestly, I had no idea. I knew obviously like the Wild. I thought maybe just like the trees and the forest, but then I think it was about a year after where I realized that there's like a little bear inside of the logo. And I just saw that like on Instagram or something, and it was kind of funny because I'd never seen that before. But then once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, but yeah, super cool logo. But first initial thoughts was just something to do with the Wild.
And everyone seems to pick up either they only see the wilderness or they only see the bear. And then the fun one, old teammate of yours, Adam Beckman, he said UFO.
Oh, that sounds like something he would see.
Like, obviously, this is Fellowship of the Rink is the name of the podcast, so we're Lord of the Rings fans. Are you a Lord of the Rings fan, or if not, what's your like nerd itch, or what's your kind of nerddom that you kind of follow along with?
Honestly, I'm not huge into like shows or movies or anything like that. There's a lot of shows, popular shows that I've never seen. I actually get a pretty hard time for it as well. A few guys down here, Sammy Walker, Caden Bank here, they're always naming movies and naming quotes from shows and movies, and I just have no idea what they're talking about. I'm a big sports guy, and I follow along with that. So honestly, like, there's not a lot of shows or movies that I could quote or anything like that. But yeah, I'm not too much of a nerd when it comes to movies.
So there's no like books you read or no like things you collect or anything like that. It's kind of
I mean, as far as like that type of stuff, instead of watching shows or movies, I'm big into drawing. I got like a notepad here at home with like colors and crayons and stuff that I'd like to do. So that's kind of my way of kind of getting away from hockey and getting away from everyday life, is just coming home and yeah, I love to draw. That's something that I always loved doing when I grew up, and yeah, it's carried on to nowadays.
Is that something that, like, do you just like sit down at home and just start randomly drawing stuff, or is there like a theme to the types of things you're drawing?
Yeah, there's sometimes that I go online and I'll look up something and try to draw it, but then there's times too that I like to just kind of free sketch and do my thing. I mentioned Walks earlier, but he wanted a drawing earlier of a farmhouse with like a horse and kind of like a picture like that. So not too long ago, I drew him a photo of that. So that was kind of cool, kind of getting requests as well. So
Nice.
yeah, it's fun, and it kind of gets me away from my phone and stuff. So I enjoy doing that.
We're gonna have to put in a request or something for you to give us some like cool logo for the show or something like that. Stay tuned. We'll give you some kind of assignment.
For sure, I'd be up for that.
So no portraits of teammates at all? No portraits like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Nice.
Well, obviously, like a lot of guys, you were a big hockey, fan from an early age. But I heard a story where you were 2 years old and your dad would like you crawl up onto the nightstand to watch the Canucks games and like kind of follow the puck. Like obviously you were too, or remember that, but
yeah,
it seemed like legit with kind of how your hockey love started.
For sure. Yeah, from a young age, I always loved hockey, and my parents kind of got me into it early. I had my own set of gear when I was very little, so I would throw on my gear and then grab my mini stick and just sit in front of the TV and kind of probably didn't know what I was looking at, but from what I'm told, I really enjoyed it when I was young, and then my dad took me to the ice rink one day, and then I'd never wanted to go back. So we just kept going every single day, and now I'm here, and that's definitely how it started.
So you grab the mini stick. Who's the player, or maybe there's a couple players that you're like, this is who I'm pretending to be right now?
Well, when I was little, obviously, like, didn't really know many guys. But as I started to grow up and kind of know more players and stuff, Sidney Crosby was the guy for me. He was kind of my idol, and just like seeing commercials about him growing up, shooting into like the laundry and things like that, and then obviously he scored the golden goal in 2010 when I was like 8 years old. So that was my idol growing up, and just the way that he carried himself. My mom and my dad also really really like him, and the Pittsburgh Penguins were winning cups back then, and yeah, he was kind of my idol growing up.
So no, like Canucks players, were like I know that was a team that was probably the closest for you, but like no.
Yeah. Canucks, obviously the Sedins, loved watching them play when I was younger. And then just kind of the classics, Trevor Linden, Marcus Naslund. I do remember when Trevor Linden retired, I remember crying on my couch because I didn't really know what it meant. And my dad had to explain to me that, yeah, like he's done. He won't be playing for the Canucks anymore. And obviously watching every game and stuff growing up, that was kind of sad to hear that you're never gonna see him play again. But yeah, Trevor Linden was one guy from Vancouver.
What was your earliest hockey memory? Like you mentioned, like golden goal when you were 8. You mentioned like Linden's press conference when he was retiring. Like, what's like the earliest hockey memory that you have, not just your parents have, I guess?
Yeah, I guess earliest memory that stands out to me was also in 2010. I was playing spring hockey. I think it was one of my first years, and I played for the Vancouver Selects. And we went to Winnipeg for a spring hockey tournament. And I just remember how fun that was going on the road, and just the lead up to that. It was kind of the first time I had gone away from home for hockey, and we ended up winning the tournament. I remember the final game. We were all pretty sick and banged up, and we grinded through. And I remember we won 6-3, and I had 3 goals, 3 assists, and we won the championship. And that was kind of the first memory where I was like, wow, that's awesome. And just like winning and celebrating and playing We Are the Champions in the dressing room, you kind of felt on top of the world. And that one stands out for me.
You mentioned gear. I'm sure it was the Max Domi gear, right, or something like that. You had back then, or
yeah, I might have grown out of that by then, but I don't even know what gear I would have been wearing at that time. I know I always used a Warrior hockey stick growing up. So I know that, but as far as the equipment, I honestly had no idea what I was wearing.
are the skates still small on the smaller side, or is that something you were growing up? You had to find like smaller skates for you.
Yeah, I think it's better now, but yeah, when I was little, I was always the smallest guy growing up, so it was always hard trying to find gear and finding things that fit. But I think I'm to the point now where it's not smaller than the regular guys, so I don't have a problem with that anymore.
Well, like I think any player I've covered, from the college, NHL, they mentioned like it takes a kind of village to raise a hockey player. It takes a really committed set of parents to get you from A to B. And obviously, growing up where you grew up, to get to Vancouver or whatever, your parents had to do a lot of driving, I'd imagine, or juggling. Just tell us a little bit about your parents. Like, what did they do for work, and like how did they kind of get you from A to B when you had to be there?
Yeah, obviously, like, huge credit to them. I couldn't be here today without them, and I mean that because my mom worked at a restaurant. She worked nights at Ocean Park Pizza and Steakhouse, just a little family restaurant down in Abbotsford. And then my dad worked at the city of Vancouver, but he worked mornings, so he would wake up at 4 a.m. and drive out to Vancouver, which is an hour away, and then he got off at 3. So he would have to drive back at 3, get home around 4:30, and my mom started at 5. So there would be a lot of times where I had practices and games out in Vancouver or in that area. So my mom after school would have lunch ready for me after school, and then I would throw my suit on or whatever, and my mom would meet my dad halfway. I would switch cars, and then my mom would drive home, and my dad would drive back out to wherever it may be for the game. And then, yeah, we wouldn't get home till, around 11, 12 o'clock sometimes. And the next day my dad would have to repeat that. So he's waking up at 4 and not getting home till 12 and then doing it all over again the next day. So a lot of credit to them. When you're going through it, you never really realize the sacrifice they're putting in. But reflecting on it now and being where I am today, it's I kind of feel like I owe it to them to do my best and work hard every single day, because you can't take it for granted, and they did everything they could to get me here. So I'm really grateful for them.
Well, and it seems like, every guy who loves playing hockey is a passion for them that it eventually gets to the point where you think, hey, I can play pro or I can go to the NHL. And for you, was it kind of after the COVID year, you kind of took off or had a breakout season? Like, I wasn't sure what changed or what was the big reason for you kind of taking a big step. And I think it was like 38 goals that year, just like really put yourself on the radar. A lot of people.
For sure. Yeah. Always a smaller guy growing up. So I just tried to work as hard as I could and see where hockey kind of took me. WHL draft, I think it was a couple weeks before. My mom didn't even know what the WHL was or that there even was a draft. So I know there's a lot of young kids that are like, I want to get drafted in the WHL. And for me, it was kind of something that kind of came up late for me. And I got picked in the 8th round and ended up making it at 16, which was a surprise. But I worked hard and I earned that opportunity. And played my 16, 17-year-old year, 18-year-old year. I had surgery and then obviously COVID as well. But kind of reflecting, I knew that my 19-year-old year was going to be a big one. And if I wanted to even have a shot of, going to the NHL or getting drafted or anything, I knew I had to have a big year. And we had a lot of good players and great coaching staff and kind of put me in a situation where I could excel. But yeah, I had a really good start and I kind of feel like I just kind of ran with it from there. Like I said, had a good start. I think we won our first 11 games, so it always helps when you're on a winning team. And got my confidence and just kind of ran from there.
And so the WHL draft snuck up on you. Did you expect to go where you went in the NHL draft? Like, what was the whole experience and your memories from draft day?
Yeah. I didn't really have too much of my idea. Obviously got passed over in my first year of eligibility, but I didn't really let it get me down. I think I only played 12 games in my draft year. But yeah, going into my second year of eligibility, obviously was an overager. So I didn't really know, where those guys kind of fall or if you get unpicked and then maybe get invited to a camp. But yeah, when I saw myself, get picked in the 3rd round, it was nothing but excitement. It was a commercial and then it tuned back onto the television and I saw my name on the bottom right. And that's a moment I'll never forget. It was kind of like, wow, like, in a way you made it that far and it was super cool. But yeah, I didn't really have any expectations, but when I saw it was Minnesota, it's like, wow, this is surreal.
This interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it, that makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order. Yeah. And a teammate of yours, not only now in Iowa, but I know you spent quite a bit of time together with Winnipeg Ice, Carson Lambos. He came on with us about a year ago now, actually, almost, Joe. And we did a whole round of superlatives on the team. This is before the Hunt trade, obviously, but Daemon Hunt was kind of unanimously picked as the best dressed across the team. But he went out of his way to say there needs to be an honorable mention here. Mikey Milne is right there behind him. With Daemon Hunt gone, like, are you Mr. Style now, or is there anyone giving you a run for your money in Iowa?
Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I like to kind of be bold and I don't really care what people think, when it comes to what I wear or anything like that. There's definitely a few pieces that I have that are a little bit controversial, but I think if you go with it and have confidence in what you're wearing, no one can tell you otherwise. But, we have a lot of good dressed guys. We had country night the other night. Reese Johnson, Ben Jones, those guys know how to put a fit together. So But yeah, when it comes to going to the rink, it's usually just sweats and a winter jacket. But yeah, I definitely like to use my style once in a while.
What's the controversial one? Like, what are the ones that were like kind of edgy, I guess, in your mind?
Yeah. There'll be times where I wear sweatsuits sometimes where it's just head to toe, like same color. I got a top hat as well that I wear to the rink sometimes for game days. I do have one coat it's a white winter jacket. I kind of look just like a puffball type of thing, but it's cozy and it's comfortable, and sometimes get a hard time for it, but can't complain if you're warm.
And so we then had to, of course, turn the tables and ask Lambos, who's the worst dressed? Like who looks homeless in the group? And he immediately raised his hand. He's like, that's me. Do you think that's fair? Or is he just being too hard on himself?
I think he's being a little bit too hard on himself. I think Lambos he's got a few more pieces now. He went to a thrift shop the other day, and he picked up some new items. He's got a Chicago Bulls jacket that he wears now. He's got a White Sox pullover polo, but just kind of cool pieces like that. But I think he's putting it together for sure.
Okay.
And he's been called up a few times, so he probably needs to get a little like a suit or two, right? Just in case that.
Yeah, that was the tough one. He had a suit last year that he would wear on the road, that he always got a hard time. So yeah, I think he got a new one the other day. But yeah, the one suit that he had last year, he threw it out, and I'm grateful for that.
Any Lambos stories, like whether it's from your time in junior, time in Iowa, anything?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Trying to think. It's kind of hard getting put on the spot.
Yeah. But all right, tell you what, putting you on the spot a little bit. Next time you jump on with us, you're going to have one locked and loaded. You're going to have the drawing that you created for us. We'll give you a pass on this one. It's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, weren't you part of the crew that was like the mattress falling off the truck thing, and then like you had to like be the helper in that point?
Yeah, that was tough. I was just driving my truck and had the mattress in the back, and we were driving about 5 minutes, so I didn't think much of it. And then we had a few guys following us behind, and then all of a sudden we just see a boatload of cars lined up on the bridge, and I look over and my mattress is just right in the middle of the road. So yeah, that was funny. I was with Banks at the time. I was coming off a shoulder injury. Banks was coming off an Achilles, so we weren't much help trying to get that mattress in the back of the truck. So luckily we had Masters and Lambos right behind us, able to help us with the mattress and put it back in. So, but yeah, that was pretty funny.
I've been in Des Moines a few times now, and obviously you had spent some time there. Like, what's your favorite restaurant? What's your go-to place? Like,
yeah, we have there's a place called Luca. It's right in the East Village, but great pasta and sandwich spot that the guys love to go to. A lot of the guys go there for pregame meal and stuff like that, and we kind of know the owner now as well, and they've came to a few games, and we actually went there for Christmas dinner not too long ago. I think it was maybe last year. They had us over on the 24th for dinner, so that was pretty cool.
Obviously, goalies seem like they're a little weird, just overall, just their personalities and stuff like that. Like, how would you describe Wallstedt? And kind of like, people ask you, "Hey, what's Wally like?" And you're like, "What do you tell them?"
Yeah, he's very outgoing. He's a funny guy. But yeah, he's always got a smile on his face. He's always making jokes and stuff like that. But yeah, he's just kind of always got a good attitude. He's always positive. And he's a competitor. That's what you love to see out of him. He's on the ice, he's a competitor. Off the ice, he's a competitor. And as much as he's, laughing and making jokes and stuff, he takes it serious. And it's so great to have a guy like that in the room that's just, carefree and you can kind of talk to him about anything.
Nice. And I mean, ups and downs with the season, like obviously, especially everyone knows with the Wild, the MO is injuries happen up top, guys get called up, and you guys have to do everything you can to scramble. But there's been some really good stretches here for you guys. Like, what's your assessment of the season so far? How do you feel about the team?
Yeah, definitely been ups and downs. We're not where we want to be as a team right now. We're losing games, but we're not losing them by too much. We're in 1-goal games. It feels like every night we have a chance to win, and we just haven't been able to, pull through and find a way to win those close games. And if we want to make playoffs, we got to learn how to do that. But I think we know that we're doing the right things and we're on the right path. I think it just comes down to will and putting a full 60 together, and it feels like we're having 5 or 10 minute spills where we let in a couple goals and then we're in a hole. And if we can figure that out, I think with the guys that we have, obviously injuries and stuff, but right now it feels like we got our full lineup, and we haven't had that a lot this year. So we got a great leadership group, and we're put in a position to do well. So I think it's going to come together. But yeah, it's going to take work and just commitment and following the game plan every single night.
I know anybody's NHL debut feels like a blur afterwards, but I'm sure you try to soak in certain moments. Like what will be the most vivid memories for you from your first game and that whole day, I guess, lead up to it?
Yeah. Obviously the rookie lap is something that you see growing up all the time. And then to finally, be able to do that was pretty cool. Having my parents in the building as well was special. But I think that whole day is kind of just for your family, for everyone that's kind of got you to where you are today. I just kind of remember reflecting on the way to the rink that day. Just driving into the rink was pretty cool. I had a lot of friends watching on TV and stuff like that. So just knowing that I kind of made the NHL was insane, and having that thought going into the rink was pretty cool. Just reflecting on everyone that got me to that point in my life.
Were you the most nervous? Were you nervous on the way there? Are you nervous for like the anthem, or like just pregame you're getting like dress everybody else and look around, or like what was your most kind of nervous moment?
Yeah, I would say honestly was pretty nervous for the rookie lap. Didn't want to fall. Never really skated around the ice with no helmet on before. So, and I've never played in front of a crowd like that. So, a little bit nervous for that, but honestly, just trying to soak everything in and enjoy it as much as I can, because you can only play in your first game once. So, yeah, once the game started, it was just another game for me. I just tried to do my best and do what I do well. But yeah, it was super cool. Obviously nerves, but just a ton of excitement as well.
I know you're not the GM for the Wild or the Iowa Wild, but if you had to pick of your teammates, who's the next person to make their NHL debut?
There's obviously a few guys come to mind. Carson Lambos obviously got called up recently. Didn't get into a game, but he's trending in the right direction, and his game's improved a lot since last year. Another guy, Caden Bankier, a little slow start as far as goals come for his standard, but he's been playing awesome. Recently he's been a beast. Obviously big centerman, skates well, makes plays, and he's a great guy as well. And I could definitely see him turning the page and making his debut soon, because he's playing really good hockey recently.
Nice. And we've had, I'm trying to think, Joe, keep me honest, because I might be missing a handful, but I know Lambos and Bankier were both awesome interviews for us. Who do we need to grab as our next interview from that Iowa group? We had Wallstedt. Who am I missing, Joe? We had Haight. Oh, we don't.
Yeah, we had Hunter. Yeah, we had Juracek, obviously, who was when he was at the NHL.
Yeah.
So we had Juracek, Wallstedt, Lambos, Bankier. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else was like Ogren when he was there in them. So I'm trying to think of guys that would be on the team now that are just like good personalities. And
next guy, I mean, honestly, I think you could do Jack Pert, first year in Iowa. So I feel like he'd have kind of good story. Obviously first year with him, and we've become pretty good friends. But I think a guy like that, he played college obviously in his hometown as well, and now he's kind of going through it for the first time. And I remember me when I was going through it for the first time, everything was so big and crazy. So I feel like that would be a good guy to kind of get to know a little bit better.
Nice. I'm gonna put you on the spot again. What's the first question I should ask him?
Who's better at golf, me or him?
Oh, I like that. All right. Well, what's your answer? What's your answer to that question?
Me for sure. But
okay, so are we pretty confident in the golf game, or is it more that you just think his is bad?
I think we've played a few times, and I've taken him down a couple times now. But I'd say we have pretty similar game style. But I've just got the better of the hand the last couple times. But I'd like to hear what he thinks. You know, we haven't played in the best conditions, so you put us on a real course with good conditions. You never know.
I like that. So, like, where do you sit in the hierarchy of Iowa Wild players when it comes to golf?
I would say, well, honestly, with a lot of new guys this year, I haven't even seen their games. We kind of did a lot of new guys coming in this year. But as far as like the younger guys on the team, I would say I'm right in the top of the group. Wally's pretty good golfer. Rorschach. Trying to think who else. Lambos, me and him always kind of go at it. We have great matches. We had a great match this summer actually. That went to the final wire, final playoff hole. So that's a guy that I love to play with. But yeah, we got a lot of good golfers. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, excited for that.
Okay. Well, our final question for every interview comes from our good friends at Waggle Golf. Everyone go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order, quarter zips, hats, golf shirts, you name it. Mikey, you and 3 other people get to go out on a golf course for a day. Can be an athlete, celebrity, dead or alive, made up, I don't care. Tell me the 3 people you want out on the course with you.
It's a great question. All right. Well, I think I'm going with Tiger Woods. Just someone that knows the course and someone who you kind of watch and you're just amazed by. That would be one. Luke Combs. I don't know what his game's like, but favorite artist, favorite singer, and he's a great guy as well. And I feel like he would be fun to chat it with. And then my third one's Adam Sandler. I love his movies. I love his shows. I love everything about him. He seems like the funniest guy ever. And I feel like that'd be pretty fun. You got Luke Combs, who's, he can kind of sing and he's drinking beers, and Adam Sandler's cracking jokes. And then Tiger Woods is kind of showing me how to play. So I think that would be my 3 guys.
Nice. That's good balance. And I mean, obviously with the new Happy Gilmore coming out soon.
Yeah.
Got to channel that.
For sure.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. It's always fun I always love to hear about the guys' journeys and paths to get here. And then obviously yours with your parents and at an early age playing is such a cool thing. And looking forward to seeing you back with the Wild at some point here for another call-up. But thanks again for taking the time, and we'll chat again soon.
Sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. That was fun. Thank you.